Goodness to you, it's Sporty King. And you know I always say goodness. Why? Because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening. But isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? Welcome to it's the MMM, the Monday Midday Moment, to give you a boost during the day and keep you moving on your path to excellence. And we all know that excellence is a wonderful goal. It's attainable, it's repeatable, and it's a wonderful, wonderful, and great moment. Today, I'll continue sharing thoughts from my personal experience and beliefs. I call it Speaking with Charisma. And for the last few weeks and for the next coming weeks, I've switched my subtitle to being the 7 C's of Control. You see, our appeal to and impact on our audience is directly related to the physical and verbal mechanics that we use. And specific mechanics empower you to speak with more confidence and skill. I believe in uncovering those subliminal techniques and the conscious need to be in control of yourself as well as control of your audience, whichever way you put it. Control of your audience and yourself, or control of yourself and your audience. And truly, what you can really do is be in control of yourself so that you can put your audience first in terms of that being in control. So see, already there's a subliminal message. So my next C is consideration. I want you to preview your audience's demographic. You see, you want to make sure that your vocabulary is important. And I'll just touch on 3 samples of appropriate, as I said important, but I meant appropriate. I'll touch on 3 samples what of appropriate vocabulary are. 1, generational vocabulary. Choose where and how you can use slang. 2, gender vocabulary. Be conscious of using pronouns like, oh, well, you know, she and he instead of they. And be conscious to say, and you versus you guys. One thing that I use that I have to be really conscious of, and you may too, depending on your audience, but I'm speaking to military audiences. So I have to be really conscious of not saying spouses, but saying partners, or saying couples, or saying those of you in a relationship, or saying caregivers. Because sometimes we're going to be talking about the adult who's staying home while the soldier or the service member is deploying, and they may not even be related, but they may be the caregiver of the child. So you don't want to just put them in that relationship, in a gender relationship. And then I'm using those titles instead of calling them single or married. So just something for you to consider, and believe me, I'm very conscious of it, because what I do then is I respect my audience regardless of what their gender choice is. That becomes the key. How do you have the consideration that shows you have respect for them? And lastly, your educational vocabulary. Don't practice your new vocabulary that you haven't mastered. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't have appropriate level education words, because you should. But if you really don't know how to use that word, don't practice it on your audience. Practice it before you get there. If you learn a new word, make sure you get some practice on using it in full sentences so that you'll come out sounding more intelligently, and that's the key. Meanwhile, also I want you to check for the recent news for any mood shift in your audience. I know there's the story I learned earlier in my speaking career about a person who was going to be speaking to a group of educators, and he or she did not check the news and find out that just last night the teachers union had lost their battle, and over 50 to 75% of his audience at this teachers convention were about to lose their jobs. And he or she opened up with, isn't it great to be in the educational field? So that, again, check the recent news, because it could change the mood in your audience. And in fact, let me give you one more that I've experienced, again, with my military audiences. I was getting ready to speak to a group who was getting ready to deploy, and some of the soldiers, this was an Army group, had come back. It was an Army Reserve group. Well, as it turned out, one of the units that was going to be in the audience had a suicide in their group the week before the event. So their mood was different. And I needed to be conscious of how I mentioned that, or if not mentioned it, but what I talked about in terms of judgment. Because sometimes we will talk about somebody who's taken their life by suicide in a judgmental way, unconsciously, because we use the word committed suicide. I want you to start to understand to say, took their life by suicide. See, committed sounds like it was an accomplishment. So it's that little twist that makes a difference, okay? So anyway, there was one time that I needed to be conscious of the mood in the room, and you should too. One more thing for consideration, a double thing, and that is to repeat or rephrase the questions and comments for the benefits of others. So when someone asks you a question, repeat the question before you answer it, because maybe someone on the other side of the room did not hear it. And then when you repeat it, maybe you can either repeat it exactly or rephrase it in words that are more comfortable. Remember, you're not trying to exercise your work out your new vocabulary. Words that are more comfortable to you, to make sure that you're getting the question right, so that your answer will respond to the actual question. And see, perhaps hearing yourself do this will also help you formulate a better answer, as well as it'll help someone else receive it better. When you speak with charisma, believe that you make a difference most when you control your audience, in this case, by sharing your consideration for them. I'm Sporty King, and this has been your the MMM, the Monday Midday Moment, to give you a boost during the day and keep you moving on your path to excellence. And especially as you share your charisma, make sure you mix in your consideration and show what you know with the 7 C's. Ciao.